Good morning, Bonneville County. You have just joined Breakfast with Senator Cook. I am the Idaho State Senator Kevin Cook from District 30, or now known as District 32 since the redistricting. I am live on Facebook, and I try to do this every Saturday at 10 a.m. So I can know what the issues are. What are you facing? What are your questions? What are your concerns? And so whether you join us live or whether you look at the recording some other time that's more convenient to you, I am open to your posts, your texts, your phone calls and emails. Please let me know where you stand, and we'll work together. We're going to work together to put Idaho first. I serve on the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, that's known as JFAC. It's a huge committee, it's busy, we set the budget. And so it was a huge feat this past session. I also serve on the Senate Education Committee, the State Group Insurance Advisory Committee, the Idaho Technology Authority Committee, and the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education Committee. So those are five very, very busy committees that take up a lot of my time, but it's good. I love the getting involved with the budget and seeing how we can save you, the taxpayer, some money. I also truly enjoy getting involved with the education, and of course, being a computer guy, I really enjoy the Idaho Technology Authority Committee. So, anyway. If you're listening, let me know if you have any questions. So one of the things I always like to try and start off this with is I like to talk about Idaho. I believe Idaho is the greatest state in the nation. And so to kind of help that along and maybe educate some little known facts, some little weird things, trivia questions about Idaho, I always like to start off with a trivia question. So many of Idaho's towns, small towns, or even the large ones now, started off due to a mining or a railroad stop or some other significant major event. Well, this little town we're talking about today, before it turned into a railroad town, it was considered a shebang town. And that's what it was called among the outlaws. A shebang was a destination that was established as a sort of headquarters for outlaws. It was here in this little town numerous miners were robbed as they traveled between towns. This little town still today celebrates its rich history by holding the Shebang Days celebration on the second Saturday of every June. Here's the trivia question for you. What is the name of that town today who still celebrates the Shebang Days? What's its name and where is it located? Okay, so think about that. That's your trivia for today. All right. So the big news, one of the big things happened this week is Monday night. In fact, it was Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The City Club put on a debate or a forum. I was involved, or District 32 was involved with it on Monday night. And so it was me and my opponent, and Stephanie Mickelson and her opponent. And Wendy Horman, Representative Horman, she did not attend because she didn't have an opponent. So she stayed home in her nice, comfortable home and watched the debate. But Stephanie and I both had opponents, but I think it was a good debate. There were some good questions. They weren't softball questions. There were some hard ones. I think it went well. No tomatoes were thrown, no blood, and no eye gouging. But we had some great questions, and let me just go through some of the questions that there was brought up. One was the abortion bill. This last session, we passed an abortion bill that was much like the Texas bill, basically saying that once the heart beat is detected of an unborn child, that it was illegal to have an abortion. And that if you had the abortion, that the husband, grandparents, uncles, and aunts could sue the doctor. Couldn't sue the mom, but could sue the doctor who performed the abortion. Now, there was some miscommunication on that said that that a woman that was raped or was pregnant because of rape or incest, or was about to lose her life because of the pregnancy, that they couldn't have an abortion. That's false. Okay, that is false. A woman can still get an abortion if she is in having problems with her life. The pregnancy is causing a life situation if the pregnancy is due to incest or rape. So that's the way it is right now. Okay, is the bill perfect? No, we probably should need to work on it, and I think you'll see some more work on it coming up. Okay, another question that was brought up was, should we lower the percent in order to pass a school bond or levy? Okay, right now you have to, in order to pass a school bond or levy, you have to get 2/3 that vote for the bond. And if you don't get to 2/3, then it's dead. There's a movement that wants to move it to 51%. I'm not there. I'm just not there yet. This is my property tax. It's your property tax. And I think there has to be an overwhelming support to vote for something to raise everybody's property tax. And that's what levies and bonds do. They will raise your property tax. Now, does that mean I'm against schools that need to be rebuilt? Absolutely not. Education is important. It's one of my biggest things that I have ran on is education. I want to give our children greater educational opportunities. And going to a school that's falling down around them does not help the situation. And so I am for that. But we've got to make sure we do it right. I think a lot of the schools, high schools that we've built recently, they're more showcases than they are meant to be educating. I just wonder if there's a way that as a state, can we take a bigger part in building these schools and these facilities that are required, or elementary schools. And so I'm going to look at something like that. Somebody told me that Arizona does that it's a cookie cutter school, okay, no frills or anything else. It's there for the education of the kids. So I'm just going to kind of look at that and see if there's something we can do with that here in Idaho. That we don't rely on so much of the bonds and levies. I don't know if it's possible. The concept sounds good, but we'll see. All right, another one that came up. Should we be spending all that ARPA COVID money that came from the federal government? What do you think about that? Well, there was some disagreement on that. Some said send it all back. Some said spend it. Let me tell you where I'm at. I say spend it. Okay, the check is already written. We've already borrowed the money. The kids are going to pay, our grandchildren are paying for that money regardless. Is it wrong? Yes, absolutely. The federal government is out of control. We are way over our heads in debt, and it needs to stop. But if we send our money back, it will just go to another state to spend it. Okay, and if you do that, then our roads and our bridges and our highways, our schools, everything else will suffer. And you'll start having a black hole in Idaho where people start leaving Idaho because they can't get their stuff, their product to market because there are potholes and everything else in Idaho. So the one thing about the ARPA money, the COVID money, is we need to be smart about it and spend it smart. So in other words, don't use that money that commits us for 10 years down the road. Because this COVID money is going to come to an end. And when it comes to an end, now do we have to rely upon you, the taxpayer, to finish off the project. And so we have been trying very, very hard to make sure any money that we use it for a one-time thing, okay? That we use it to spend on a project, and we fully appropriate the money for that project. We also paid off a lot of our debt, our highways and bridges for the Garvey Fund. Anything that was callable in the Garvey Fund, we paid it off. We also paid a lot off on our bonds that we could on our buildings in Idaho. So we were very, very smart on what we did. We made sure we weren't raising people's salary with the ARPA funds, that we weren't doing that. And so I think it's a good thing. Well, let me back up. It's a bad thing, but I think sending it back would be worse. And so we're using it. Let's see. Another one is They asked about is compromising. So as a senator, sometimes you got to compromise. Is that a bad thing? And my comment on that was no, it's not a bad thing. As long as you're not compromising on your values. I will not bend on my values, okay? But on certain things, I will compromise on it. And if I can get 80% of good in a bill, then I'm going to go for it, okay? Because I think it's to our advantage. Just an example, look at the federal government. Federal government is so mad at each other that they're just butting heads and we're not getting anything done. The only thing we're getting done is President Biden is passing executive orders. And so we've got one man doing all the work of the nation and everybody else is fighting. There comes a time when you need to compromise and work out. And I think that happens and makes a better bill in the long run, as you can see both sides of the coin. So I think that's important. Another question they asked is CRT. So CRT is the critical race theory. Couldn't remember what it stood for. Critical race theory. And so they asked us about that and asked me about it. And I says, well, personally, I have no proof. I have no proof that it's being taught in Idaho. Have I heard about it? I've heard about it, but that's second, third, and fourth hand. But I have no proof. Is it here in Idaho? I think it probably is. But here's what I want to be very, very careful about, is I believe it is wrong to get this great big brush and paint all teachers as guilty, because that is not true. We have some awesome teachers in Idaho. All teachers are not teaching CRT. There may be a handful, but I don't know that. Okay, but here is my thought. CRT is real. Okay, it is being taught throughout America. And I believe it's coming to Idaho. Do we wait until it comes to Idaho and then do something about it? Growing up on a farm, my father taught me the best time to get rid of weeds is when they're small. You stomp them out while they're small before they get a hold. And I believe that's the same way. Is if there's a way to get the handle on the CRT and get it out of the state, then we need to do that. But again, that is not at the cost of pointing our fingers at teachers. I don't believe our teachers are doing it. We might have a problem at higher ed, but I don't believe our K through 12, our charter schools, our private schools are teaching. At least I haven't seen that personally. I really do believe we have some great teachers. And I say that because I have been in the classrooms. I have been in multiple teachers' classrooms. I'm not just saying that and saying, oh, I've never been there. I've been there, and we have some great teachers. Okay, enough on that. Another question they asked is, how about on the November ballot? You are going to get a chance to vote on whether the legislators should be able to call themselves back into session. Right now, we can't go back into session unless the governor says, we want you to come back, okay? So my answer on that is we have three branches of government. You have the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. And why would you think that one branch should rely upon the other branch? I think that defeats what our forefathers were trying to set up. These three branches should operate independently. And so for the legislative branch to say, no, we can't do anything unless the governor calls us back in, I think that's wrong. So I would say vote for that the legislators need to be able to call them back into session. Now some say what you're trying to do is get a full-time legislators. Well, I for one can't afford that, okay? I need to come home and work. I'm like you. I have a property tax. I have a mortgage. I have car payments. I have kids in college, and so I need the money. I come home to work. I think that's important. Go do the session, come home, and become a citizen and work like everybody else and worry about paying bills and raising kids and family. So I think that's important. The last question that I remember that they asked me was the vaccine mandates. Well, I'm against the federal mandates. I am. I believe that is wrong. Okay? Now, the other thing that I do, though, is, let me just maybe give you an example. At the end of the day, you can take off your steel-toed boots. You can take off your fluorescent vest. You can take off your hard hat and go home to your family. But you cannot take that vaccine out of your system once you've received it. You can't take that out. Once you have that, that is with you for life. And so I believe that is a very, very personal decision that you should make, and you should make that with your parents. I don't believe the federal government has a right to step in and say you will have a vaccine. So anyway, those are some of the stuff that went on at the City Club at the debate. Okay, one real quick thing that I think is kind of sad, and I wasn't going to cover this, but I think I will. I think it's important. Yesterday, Idaho ex-House Representative Aaron Von Hellinger, I think is how you pronounce it, was found guilty of rape. He was a 39-year-old man serving as a House representative, and he was dating or trying to date a 19-year-old Paige. And she was 19 years old, okay? Ellinger, he had power over her. He had a position over her, and he let her know, and he had money over her, and he also let her know that he packed a gun, okay? He had repeatedly been warned, Representative Ellinger, do not date that woman. Stay away. You're too old. That is not a good situation that you're in. Leave her alone. He kept buying her gas, buying her lunch, going out with her. One thing led to another, and one night she accused him of rape. Okay? Now, if that wasn't bad enough, okay, the far right wing of the Republican Party went on to support this Representative Ellinger, Von Ellinger, however you say it, to support him, okay, and to say that he is innocent before he was ever proven. But if that wasn't bad enough, then they started attacking this young woman who is 19 years old. Priscilla Gillings, Representative Priscilla Gillings, the one that's running for a lieutenant governor. She went on and put the woman's name, photo, personal details about her life multiple times out on social media on the internet. We don't do that. What does that send? What kind of message does that send to every other young woman out there? It tells them, don't you dare ever tell you got raped, because if you do, we'll put all that information on the internet. That is wrong. Representative Priscilla Giddings did something that was terrible and shouldn't have done that. I have got somebody at the door. Just 1 second, and I will be right back. I'm doing a live session on Facebook. Can I come back and talk to you?
I just let you know what's here.
Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I was the only one here today. We have a roofer guy, so you might hear some hammering. Okay, anyway, Priscilla Gillings went on and put out all this information about this woman. Now, regardless of whether you think she was playing the field or whether you think he was guilty or innocent, that doesn't matter. What matters is you don't put a victim's name and information and picture of someone that claims they got raped. Let the system take care of itself, which it did. And it found this man guilty. So a lot of Representative Priscilla Gillings, after this happened, turned it into a political fire. Okay? She said that the only reason this was brought up was because of Scott Bedke. Scott Bedke, Priscilla Giddings are both running for lieutenant governor. Before either one of them announced or filed to run for lieutenant governor, this had already taken place. 25 House members signed up and said, we need to have an ethics committee formed. We need to have an ethics violation brought up against this representative. Okay? They signed it. Scott Bedke was the last one to sign it. He was not the first one to sign it. He was the last one. What Priscilla Gillings did had nothing to do with running against Lieutenant Governor. Just didn't. So here's some truths, okay? Here's some things to think about. Priscilla Gillings did publish the stuff, okay? That is truth. And she has never denied it, okay? The far right believes, well, that's fine. That's good because that's freedom of speech. Well, it might be freedom of speech. But where do we have a little bit of decency? Okay, is there not room for decency out there? We don't do that kind of stuff. That was wrong. Think about if that was your own daughter. If you're on the far right and you're listening to me or after this, if you're on the far right and somebody published that information about your daughter, would you say, oh, that's freedom of speech, that's fine? Go ahead, publish it about my daughter. I don't believe so. It was wrong, okay? As I said, there were 25 House representatives that signed the letter asking for an ethics hearing, okay? 25 signatures were given, including Scott Bedke's, were given before they had ever announced that they were running for Lieutenant Governor. The Ethics Committee found Giddings guilty of doing something that was unbecoming of a legislator. Scott Bedke had nothing to do with the outcome of the committee. He wasn't on the committee. What Priscilla Gillings did was nothing to do with the outcome of this trial. In other words, if he would have been found innocent, she still did something wrong that a legislator knows better and should not have done. I am surprised that she is even on the ballot to be voted for. Okay? You might not like Scott Bedke, and that is fine. But Priscilla Giddings did something pretty unethical that for the state of Idaho to even consider her for the lieutenant governor is beyond me. Okay? Never once did she acknowledge what she's done. Never once has she apologized or believed that she did anything wrong. Again, for those on the far right that stand up and defend Priscilla Gillings and stating that it's freedom of speech, surely you got to have a little bit of dignity for a 19-year-old girl that got raped. Okay? All right, let's move on. Sorry about that, but I feel very strongly about that. I just think if someone gets raped, they need to believe that there is some kind of confidentiality, that her name is not going to be published all over. All right, how about voting? So we have 2 weeks, 3 days left before we go to the polls to vote. Let me give you some really important dates, okay? The last day to pre-register is gone, okay? If you haven't pre-registered to vote, it's gone. It's too late. That doesn't mean you still can't vote. You can still go and vote. You can you can register online, or you can register at the poll when you go to vote, okay? All right, last day to request a mail absentee ballot is May 6th, and by 5 p.m., okay? You request it. If you want to request that, let me give you the URL. It's www.bonneville-idaho.gov/page/early-voting. Or you can go to my website, www.kevincookforidaho.com, and you can and you'll be able to sign up there, and you can get your absentee ballot. Okay, to do it online, you're going to have your driver's license, or a state identification card, and 4 digits of your social security card. Okay, that's what you'll need. If you don't have that, then you can sign up. You'll have to get a paper application and sign up that way. Last day for early voting will be May 13th. So early voting starts on May 2nd through the 13th at the Bonneville County Elections Office Center. And that is across from the motor vehicle driver's license building. It's 825 Shoup Avenue. Okay, and you can go and do your early voting if you want and do it in person. Okay, May 17th, that is the primary where you're going to your polling station and cast your vote. If you don't know where your polling station is, find out. Don't wait to the last minute. Okay, again, you can go, if you just Google Bonneville County voting or elections, and you'll find it. Or the easiest way is go to www.kevincook4idaho.com, and you'll be able to get it there. If you order your ballot, for mail ballot, you'll come in an envelope like that, and inside that ballot there are four things in that ballot that you'll get. First thing is instructions, okay, and then you'll get your ballot, and you'll get a sleeve. So you fill out your ballot, put it in the sleeve, and then you'll put it inside this envelope, okay? Seal it up, but you have to remember to sign it. Got to sign the envelope. If you don't sign your envelope, it's null and void. They'll throw it away, okay? So if you're going to do a mail-in ballot. Okay, again, Bonneville Elections is located at 825 Shoup Avenue if you want to go there early. And again, here's a phone number if you want to call them. It's 208-529-1363. Okay? All right. Let's see. I have a question here. This is from Miss Bailey. It says, you've done some pretty hypocritical things yourself, Mr. Cook, claiming the legislation should save money, but bragging, let's see, what's she saying here? Should save money, but bragging about the record spending this session. Okay, I didn't know I was bragging about the money or a hypocritical thing, but yes, we spent a lot of money this session. I didn't say we didn't. In fact, in my, I think last time, I talked about how many billions of dollars, I think $4 billion came into the state from ARPA funds, okay? Our budget is $2.4 billion. A lot of money, lots of money, okay? Am I being hypocritical about that? I didn't know I was. But Miss Bailey, if you think I am, I'm certainly sorry about that. We did our very, very best to spend and be wise on the money that we spent. We made sure that our money was not pinned down for several years after the ARPA money dried up. We made sure that ARPA money wasn't being put to salary. So if you think I did that wrong on that, I would really like to know where we did wrong on that, Miss Bailey. I would like that. Let's see, you've got another question here. I think it's reprehensible that Bedke didn't recuse himself from the ethics committee hearing. Not very ethical. I could be wrong here, Miss Bailey, but I don't believe he was on the committee. I don't think he was part of the committee. He signed the letter, and he probably shouldn't have signed the letter, but that's neither here nor there. That's water under the bridge. But let me talk to you about it. Do you believe that Priscilla Giddings did the right thing by publishing a 19-year-old woman's name that was raped? Do you really believe that Giddings did the right thing? I don't. Scott Bedke had nothing to do with what Priscilla Giddings did. She did the wrong thing and has never acknowledged it, never said they're sorry, but lied about it. So I guess we're going to have to disagree here because, again, if you don't like Scott Bedke, that's fine. But what Priscilla Giddings did was absolutely wrong. Okay? All right. Let's see. I think that's all our questions. So let's move to the Saturday morning trivia question. So many of Idaho's town cities are started by a miner because they were finding gold. That's how some of those towns started, or as a railroad stop, or just some major event that happened there. It says, well, this little town that I'm talking about, before it turned into a railroad town, it was considered a shebang among outlaws. A shebang was a destination that was established as a sort of headquarters for outlaws. It was here in this little town numerous miners were robbed as they traveled between towns. Okay, this little town still celebrates its rich history by holding Shebang Days celebration on the second Saturday of every June. So what is the name of the town today and where is it located? Again, this town still celebrates that this was a town where outlaws were that would rob the miners as they were coming back. Okay, so kind of interesting. Well, The name of the town is called Cul-de-sac, and it's between Lewiston and Elk City Basin. And that's where the miners would pass between those cities, and Cul-de-sac was in the middle, and it was called Shebang by the outlaws, and they would rob this stuff. So there's a little bit of history. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. It's Saturday. Go enjoy the weekend. It looks like a gorgeous day out there, and study. Find out who's getting elected. Go out and look where you vote at, where your polling office is. You can go out and look at the ballot and start doing your studying. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Look at it and see where you need to study. I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. Even if you don't agree with me, I appreciate you coming and talking and posting your thoughts and messages. That's how we make laws. We discuss it, we debate, we disagree, and hopefully somewhere along the line we can find a middle of the road and make things work out. Thank you. Again, I would really appreciate your vote as a Idaho State Senator for District 32. And so if you have questions for me or anything you want to know where I stand, again, email me, call me, text me, whatever you'd like to do. I'd be glad to. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you.